Hello, good evening. My name is Bita Sadanandan, and today is the 4th of April 2026, and the time is 6:35 p.m. The area of body we would be maintaining health of by the Nirbeeja Yoga style is the region of the sits bones, about the region of the sits bones. Now, um, the pelvic area is the seat in which we have a sitting experience, or the pelvic girdle and the musculature around them gives us our experience of sitting, or contains our sitting posture, enables us to sit. Now, a lot of us do not spend our time paying attention to our sitting area, while this region of our body upholds the weight of our body, enables us to sit when we are working, doing different activities, takes the tension of our posture or lack of it, or suboptimal, however it is. Our pelvic area experiences the stress or the distress, and different activities related with the pelvic area while we are sitting. So the food we eat, elimination, um, different activities overnight, during different times of the day, how long do we hold urine in our bladder, all of that has an effect on this region of the pelvis, about the region of the pelvis. While we are sitting, those who are sitting a lot of the time versus walking, different activities, our pelvic area is part of our everyday activities. It's part of our instruments. No, part of what enables us to do what we do. We are not like hands and feet and legs, and head and a trunk with an uh, with the pelvic area. Just, yeah, it's part of our package. And taking care of this bodysuit, time suit, that's our body, enables us to do what we love doing. Our joy of living, our ability to be, is also affected by how we take care of this first home, that's our body. Now, Nirbeeja Yoga is a movementless method of yoga, and it is a fine balance between being and doing, or active and passive. Now, sitting on a chair, which is what I recommend during the course of these lives, because we are more focused in the sitting posture to take care of our health in the sitting posture. This could be done in lying down, walking, standing, but that is after we get more familiar with some of the basics of Nirbeeja Yoga. And I find a lot of people don't know about this because it's pretty new. And also, a lot of people may not be in the school learn.dynamicstillnesses.com, which is where uh, further details of learning this method of yoga becomes available. So we continue to study Nirbeeja Yoga, or the benefits of yoga, Nirbeeja Yoga, through the seated posture, for how long it takes, but at least something to begin with. So I recommend so one posture to begin with, and then we could look at others depending on how is the interest. Or yeah, we begin with one thing now. I recommend taking a seat on a chair, which allows for your arms to be rested, your elbows to be rested on the armrest, and for you to be able to rest your upper body on the backrest of the chair, and the chair be at such a height that you can place your feet flat on the ground, with your feet at shoulder width, yeah, and your knees to be able to be placed at 90 degrees, 90-degree angle to your feet. So that allows for your bony framework and your muscular framework to be rested well enough in a balanced posture. Now, having said that, it also becomes easier to pay attention to several other physiological factors that is affecting your body, in this posture where your bony framework is most relaxed. You could also do this lying down, but in this sitting posture with our bony framework supporting each other joints, what becomes possible to notice about your physiology is something finer. When your body is more relaxed than, say, you're in a fearful situation where you're afraid of, say, somebody shouting at you or somebody's always overseeing you, then your body is a little more tense. So I recommend sitting in a safe place where you're not afraid of somebody screaming at you or somebody disturbing your focus on what you're doing right now. So that this half an hour is available for you to pay attention to your body, to your physiology, and take care of your health from a body part at a time. So today we are paying attention to the Sitz area. Now, in this seated posture, I invite you to bring your attention to the base of your spine, or the area which touches the chair, which is about the bottommost area about your pelvis, about your pelvic region that touches the chair. And that may include the base of your thighs. So I recommend sitting deep inside your chair, so that your thigh, the back of your thighs and your pelvic region is well rested on the chair, on the surface of the chair. So this would bring a little more attention to the soft tissues of the base of your spine, of your pelvic area, as well as the back of your thighs. Soft tissues, not just the back of your thighs or the area which is touching the chair. So here what I'm bringing your attention to is a finer detail about your seated posture. I'm talking about the soft tissues of the back of your thighs, not just the back of your thighs, soft tissues of the back of your thighs, and the soft tissues of the region of your sitting area. That would include your buttocks, the sides of your thighs, about the region of your hips around there. And that would also bring attention to any sense of bone that may be touching your sitting surface. So when you pay attention to your base, in terms of soft tissues, bones are one of the type of tissues that could come to your attention, which may not otherwise be able to be paid attention to, or may not come to your attention because it's a different kind of a texture. Bones are a different kind of a texture. So paying attention to softness, and also when you pay attention to softness, you could also get a sense of a liquid sense, in the sense your body is made up of at least so much percentage of blood. There's blood lubricating your body. So there's at least so much of liquid. Your cells, tissues, organ systems function by, well, at least 60% water. So there is sufficient fluid in your body, or at least a matrix of fluid. And then there is the tissues in different compositions. Yeah. So you could notice your thighs and your pelvic region in terms of coolness. So temperature could be cool or hot or warm or cold, depending on how often you may be maintaining your health of. If you've been exercising, you're more likely to notice your muscles, the temperature of your muscles differently than if you've never been, say, exercising. You've just been going about your daily activities, eat, sleep, work, repeat. If that's been the case, then you are less likely to notice the temperature of your muscles sometimes. Or the temperature of your muscles come to your attention in a new way, because this may be an activity you haven't been doing quite often. Notice, how does the tissues of your body support the weight of your body? The upper part of your body is sitting on this pelvic area. and also supported by the back of your thighs. So how does the tissues of your base feel in terms of weight? How does the tissues experience weight? The upper part of your body's weight is on the tissues of your pelvis. So when you're paying attention to the bottom of your pelvis, the sitting area, in terms of weight experienced or pressure experienced, how do the tissues feel? How do the muscles feel when there is pressure experienced? Or how is the pressure experienced in this area? So I'm using different set of words, but the experience may be different between the left thigh and the right, or the left buttock and the right. Because the weight of your body or the tension in the left versus right buttock may be different. Because your left buttock versus right may be more tense one side than the other, which means consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, or supraconsciously, you may be holding your muscles tight, knowingly or unknowingly, because of which you may be feeling the density of tissues different. One side may be more tense than the other. And it's not a bad thing. It's just something you didn't know your body was doing. It could be because of conscious, subconscious, unconscious, or supraconscious processes. Okay? For whatsoever reason, if you notice a difference in the tension of your left versus right buttock or left versus right thigh in the lower part, where it is most touching the chair, then you are aware of one more aspect about your body. Other than, for example, the tension, the weight borne by your back of your body, the back of the region touching the chair. Yeah. And when you pay attention in terms of temperature, or when you pay attention in terms of the fluid sense, or just the softness of tissues, you're likely to notice your bones, the weight of your bones also. Now, your bones have a weight of their own because they are having a certain tension. It's called tensegrity. Or there's an integrity, and then there's a tension-based integrity. So that your thigh bones are connected with your lower leg bones, connected with your kneecaps, and then your pelvic bones. So there's a tension within the integrity of your skeletal framework. So tensegrity. Yeah. And you're likely to notice the weight of your bones when you're paying attention to the experience of the muscles most touching the chair. That is about the region where you're sitting. So we're not paying attention to your back of the body touching the chair. You're only paying it right now, you're paying attention to the region on which you're sitting and which is touching the chair. Now, this may take fine sensibility. It may take finer attention to different kinds of texture about your sitting area. Okay? And left versus right, the bones may be moving differently. Now, that's another, I brought another aspect to your attention. Movement. Do you notice movement about your sitting area? And I'm not talking about the thighs right now. I invite you to bring your attention to your pelvic area or your buttock area. Do you notice any kind of movement? Now, that could be because you are moving your body, yeah, left versus right, or your body is making small adjustments to be able to bear the weight of the upper part of your body. Nevertheless, do you notice any kind of movement about the region of your buttocks? And becomes easier because your body is now pressed against the chair. So tension of tissues, bones, for example, muscles, for example, you are likely to notice some form of movement, either balancing between left and right or front and back, or any kind of tissue movements. Yeah. Like the insides of your body is making movements. Okay. And I invite you to bring your attention to the region where your thighs connect with your upper body. That's like the junction. Kind of like an L structure, but pay attention to that region because we are not paying attention only to the bones right now. So that's one structure. We are also paying attention to the tension of the muscle structure. So there's a bony structure where the thighs connect with the kneecaps, connect with the lower legs, connect with the pelvic girdle. We are paying attention to the muscular structure where the thighs connect with the upper body muscles, not the bones. There is the bony connection, but I'm drawing your attention to the muscle connection. There will be a tension between the muscles themselves, like muscular joints. No, like bones and bones connect to form joints. Muscles and muscles connect to form another kind of joint, muscular joints, so to speak. Yeah? And that would have a different kind of tension in and of itself. At the region where the upper part, the muscles of the upper part of the body is meeting with the thighs, there would be a different kind of a tension at that junction. Because some of the muscles may be a little tight, because it's not in a relaxed position, like when you're sleeping, where your body is all horizontal. In a seated posture, some of the muscles may be a little compressed to accommodate for the seated posture. So there could be a certain tension there. This no tension is most appreciable, say, when you're going to sleep, if you're going to pay attention to your pelvic girdle, pelvic region, when you're sleeping. And I recommend trying a horizontal posture, a side posture, left and right sides, and also on your stomach. You're likely to notice tension in this pelvic region differently. Sitting, it's a different tension. Lying down, it's a different tension. Standing up, it's a different tension. But here, when you're a little more familiar with the seated posture, you're likely to notice something about the muscles or about the bones. And it's not like, you get it in the sitting posture, you're going to get it in the lying posture. No. Every posture, its own details. Yeah. Here, I'm bringing your attention to your ability to be aware of your muscles, of your bones, of your posture. And what does this have you feel, so to speak? Or what does this have you experience? Does this awareness give you any sense of relaxation? Or that you know something now, or you're aware of something now that you did not know before? Does this give you a sense of you being aware something now that you were not aware before? So that would be something like something you was in your I don't know area is now a little more in your I know area, a little bit. There is also I don't know that I don't know. There's also I don't know that I know. But there is 3 quadrants of I don't know. So something in the at least 3 levels. So there is conscious, subconscious, unconscious, supraconscious. So something from the I don't know area may be a little more in the I know area. So that could give a certain experience in your body. Do you have a sense of you are aware of something now that you weren't aware of before? And does that have you seem to have more space in your body by any chance? Because sometimes the constricted space we have, or the tension that we have sometimes in our body, is because of things we don't know about. So that could be having a little effect on your solar plexus in the front of your body versus back of your body, things that you know versus you don't versus what you don't know. Could be giving a certain physiological or constitutional tension. Yeah. Because like there are things you should be knowing, but you are not aware of, but you don't know what you are not aware of also. So you don't know what you don't know, but you continue to have a certain tension, a certain existential angst also. And you don't even know what you don't know. Yeah. So you may be a little more aware here. Right. If you can feel the bones of your sitting area, or if you can feel a tension about your muscle joint, about your pelvis. Yeah, muscle joint, muscle junction joint. Yeah, about your pelvis. Huh. Kind of good enough right now. But try moving your knees at a 90-degree angle to your feet, to your hips. Try moving your knees, say out and in, or well, I would recommend out and in. Yeah, or left and right, both together or separate. And notice if you can feel your sits bones, that is the area, the bones where you sit upon. In terms of the tensegrity, the tension of the bones and the tension of the muscles. Slight movement, you don't have to make big movements. When you're aware of the pelvic region, the joint about your sits region, and you make slight movements, you could notice the tension about the muscles, the muscle joints, how the muscles, one set of muscles is connected with the other, or the thigh muscles are connected with the upper body muscles, or how the bones are moving. That'll be subtler, but try making small movements, or you can also make big movements if you can't feel it. But the idea is to continue to pay attention to the softness about your sitting area, softness of tissues about your sitting area. Otherwise, you could make movements, but may not be able to feel the muscles and the bones, which is where you would notice the tension. So that may be a little intellectual stuff, but make small movements and see if you notice something. Do you feel your bones better? And then try and see if you are breathing any differently. Now that you know this kind of, at least you're aware of this. You know something about your body than you did before. Notice if your breath changes in any way. Is there any change in how you're breathing? Because you're aware of something now. So that's a little bit about your sits bones. If this allows you to sit a little better, or tension has increased more because now you're noticing things about your pelvis you didn't know before. Well, you know what? Awareness is key. When you are aware of something you weren't aware before, you're more likely to do something about it than not know about it, than when you didn't know about it. You would say additional tension, but this is a problem, so to speak, which you don't have to face a few years down the line because you already are aware of it. So you're more likely to do something about it. Don't go looking now what all are you not aware of. When you are ready for it, it will come to your attention. But about your pelvis, this is a health concern. If it's a health concern, you wouldn't have to face anytime soon because you're already aware of it. So you're more likely to be doing something to relieve the tension problem if there is. Yeah. Now, I could help you if you sign up on learn.dynamicstillnesses.com, learnDynamicstillnesses.com. So I'm putting up this on YouTube also. Channel name is Meristem Intelligence. Yeah, so a little bit, I'm slowly developing a course on learn.dynamicstillness.com. But on that website is also a digital card where you can contact me and then we can do a one-to-one, um, or if it's a group discussion you're comfortable with, then we can arrange for that also. Yeah. But your problem would begin to start getting addressed. Yeah. If you're not comfortable working with me, then with somebody else. But your problem will begin to start getting addressed. I'll also be able to help you with the expertise I have over several years, since 2013 at least. Now, and I'm the founder of this method of yoga. So I'll be able to help you in ways that other people cannot or don't know, because I'm the founder. Yeah. Now, I invite you to bring your attention to the sides of your pelvis about the muscular junction. Yeah. And notice how it's like an x-axis. You have x-axis, y-axis. So if you consider a line that goes through the joint, your muscle joint, how is that line? How is that tension line about your x-axis? Does it feel easy left versus right? We're only talking about that x-axis, a line through the um, L shape of your sitting posture. Yeah, that junction where the thigh meets the upper part of the body. And how is that tension along that line? That would also be your hip joint, by the way. Yeah, that's the region where your thigh bones meet your pelvic girdle. And this is an area which a lot of people do not pay attention to as much as is needed, at least in terms of awareness. Because sometimes we tend to cross our legs and there is an inward rotation of the hip joint. And we don't know to release that tension. So we sometimes tend to sit with crossed legs for a long time, and then we go about our daily activities. Or we sit and then we go about our daily activities. But this joint would have a certain tension between the bones and the muscles that makes this hip joint. And it's like a spring coil spring. Once it gets tense, if you don't release that tension, it continues to maintain a certain compression tension. And if it gets a little too much, that's when you start getting hip joint concerns, left versus right, or your walk becomes imbalanced, or something gets off balanced. Yeah. Or it could also lead to, say, arthritis, or there are several age-based concerns also. That aging also comes because you're not taking the time to decoil or tense spring, release the tension of the spring. Yeah, because it's a joint. This is like a socket. You can take, it's like a bone with a ball, and that ball sits inside a socket. You can kind of rotate it. Yeah, which is why you can move your hips left, right, front, back, because it's doing this rotation along that socket. I invite you to download this app called Visible Body or Biodigital Human. So you would have a 3D digital version of human anatomy. So you can see how is this hip socket. And then you have your body to be aware of. Yeah. So notice along this x-axis, which would be your hip axis, and notice how is the left versus right side. Because there could be a difference in the tension or the torsion, which is the twisted motion between the hips, left hip versus right hip, from not regularly decoiling, yeah, detorsioning or detensioning. And detention, you could be yeah, um, retained, kind of detensed. Is that the word? You could be in tension. Your intentions could be because you don't know other than that. So you're continuing to be coiled up and ready for a spring action because you just haven't taken the time to decoil and de-spring. Yeah, you're tense all the time, sitting, standing all the time in attention. You just don't know to relax. So your body doesn't know to metabolize well enough because your body's all the time tense. Alrighty. So you would have always a lean forward. What's happening next? What's happening next? Yeah, sitting, standing. Oh my goodness. So your heart should be having a moment. Yeah, from all the sitting forward and watching out for what's next. Yeah. Ooh, boy, you must be having a moment. And your upper arms may be tensed. Take a breather. Yaril, notice the back of your body touching the back of your chair and pay attention to the junction of your muscles and your bones. Your hips need a little bit of attention, but it would help if you can pay attention to the softness of your tissues about the left and right sides of your x-axis. We're not going to y-axis or the z-axis, just the x-axis. Yeah, the z-axis would be about the length of your thighs, and the y-axis would be the upper part of the body. Yeah, x-axis, y, z. Okay. Yeah. So relax a bit. This is trigonometry. Oh, you're getting your 0 point a little bit more balanced. Yeah. Your arm point, your tailbone maybe a little bit more on point, so to speak, rather than wandering left or right or front. Yeah. So that's like the plumb line. Yeah. Civil engineers or construction workers would know plumb line. So your spine being like a plumb line, but your tailbone being that what do you call that? That um, weight of the plumb line. Enjoy a nice seat. So I will pause on that note. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.